Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining our Sunwah Innovations webinar on the Guangdong-Hong Kong-Macao Greater Bay Area, Promising Opportunities Untapped for Vietnamese Startup. My name is Phương Thao, and I'm pleased to be your MC today. The event is in a hybrid format with English as the primary language and Vietnamese interpretation available. Please use the headset or navigate to the interpretation menu on Zoom if you wish to listen to Vietnamese. Now, before we start, please join me to watch a quick video introducing Sunwah Innovations. And thank you for your attention. With a deep root in Hong Kong,
Recording
Macau,
in progress.
and mainland China, we've worked closely with local innovation ecosystem leaders there to bring market exposure opportunities to Vietnamese startups over the past few years. Despite its rising as an innovation and technology powerhouse, offering exciting opportunities for startup worldwide, we find the Greater Bay Area is still a very new market to Vietnam startup community, and we seem to be the first one to cover this topic in Vietnam. Therefore, our objectives are to provide an overview of the Greater Bay Area, explain how startup can leverage on Hong Kong resources to tap into this market, and discuss the outlook for going global for Vietnamese startups. We're deeply grateful to Ho Chi Minh City Department of Science and Technology for co-organizing and expanding the event's outreach to the ecosystem by including it in the TECHFEST WISE 2021. This is also a kick-off event for the annual summit of Sunwah International Innovation Platform, or SWIP for short, in upcoming years. Many thanks to our strategic partner, Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks, who is also one of our key SWIP partners in Hong Kong, and all the supporting partners both within and outside of SWIP for making this event happen. Joining us today at Sunwah Innovation Center, I'm honored to introduce the distinguished guests. From Ho Chi Minh City Department of Science and Technology, Mr. Nguyễn Việt Dũng, Director of Ho Chi Minh City Department of Science and Technology. From consulates of various countries in Ho Chi Minh City, Mr. Joseph Nelson, Consul General and Trade Commissioner of New Zealand. Mr. Kit Sothiarith, Consul of Cambodia. Mr. Shim Jae-yoon, Labor Counselor of Korea. And Mr. Wei Si-chen, Economic and Commercial Counselor of China, joining online. From the associations in Vietnam who are our long-term partners, we would like to introduce Ms. Tina Phan, Indo-China Director of Hong Kong Trade Development Council. Ms. Stella So, Vice Chairwoman of Hong Kong Business Association, Vietnam. From Sunwah, Mr. Jesse Choi, Director of Sunwah Vietnam and CEO of Sunwah Innovations. And Ms. Katie Nguyen, Vice Director of Sunwah Innovations. And our sincere thanks to the distinguished guests from Ho Chi Minh City Department of External Relations, our speakers, together with our SWIP partners from Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, mainland China, Hong Kong, Macau, Japan, Korea, Singapore, and Cambodia for joining us both physically and virtually. Thank you for your participation today. And now, without further ado, please welcome on stage Mr. Jesse Choi, Director of Sunwah Vietnam and CEO of Sunwah Innovations for the opening remark. Please welcome.
Good afternoon. Mr. Nguyễn Việt Dũng, Director of Ho Chi Minh City Department of Science and Technology, representatives of the various consulates in Ho Chi Minh City, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Sunwah Group and Sunwah Innovations, it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you here today to participate in the seminar hosted by Sunwah Innovation Center, Ho Chi Minh City, titled Guangdong-Hong Kong Macau Greater Bay Area, Promising Opportunities Untapped for Vietnamese Startups. Co-organized by the Ho Chi Minh City Department of Science and Technology, supported by Hong Kong Science and Technology Park Corporation as a strategic partner. The event is part of the Vietnam's largest national technology, innovation, and startup festival, TECHFEST, and Ho Chi Minh City Week of Innovation, Startups, and Entrepreneurship 2021. The Greater Bay Area consists of 9 vibrant cities in Guangdong Province and 2 special administrative regions of Hong Kong and Macau. Since its establishment in 2017, the infrastructure here has been developing rapidly, notably the 1-hour living circle, which refers to the maximum time for intercity transit. For example, it only takes 48 minutes to travel from Hong Kong to Guangzhou by high-speed train, in spite of sharing the same distance as from Ho Chi Minh City to Gan Tup. The Greater Bay Area is currently on its way to becoming the world's next Silicon Valley, with an international innovation city like Shenzhen, an international financial center like Hong Kong, a comprehensive transportation hub like Guangzhou, a world-class entertainment and tourist center like Macau, and a huge consumer market of 86 million people. It is fair to assume that the Greater Bay Area is an extremely appealing market for foreign enterprises and startups to expand and scale up. Many Southeast Asian startups have been turning to Hong Kong as an important gateway to access this thriving ecosystem. The Greater Bay Area, however, is not yet the radar of Vietnamese startup scene. Therefore, we would like to introduce this exciting market to the Vietnamese startup community in this seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, Sunwah Group, founded in 1957, is a Hong Kong-based international conglomerate with businesses in 8 sectors: seafood and foodstuff, real estate, financial services, technology, infrastructure, education and training, media, and green technology. The group has been doing business in Vietnam for more than 50 years, beginning with seafood processing in the 1970s. Since then, the group has continued to diversify its investment in real estate, financial services, coffee trading, agriculture products, and dry food. Our latest sector in Vietnam is innovations. To celebrate Sunwah Group's 50th anniversary in Vietnam in December last year, we have opened our flagship Sunwah Innovation Center in Ho Chi Minh City, as well as launched the Sunwah International Innovation Platform. Sunwah Innovation Center Ho Chi Minh City is expected to act as a key player in the Vietnam startup ecosystem, offering a space that inspires new ideas, as well as resources to support those ideas. Apart from the center in Ho Chi Minh City, we have already opened other innovation centers in mainland China, in Guangzhou, Tianjin, Nanjing, Shenyang, Wuxi, and Beijing, with more to come in other places where Sunwah does businesses in. Our latest establishment is Sunwah Global Youth Innovation Center in the Nansha district of Guangzhou City, with the mission of promoting entrepreneurship and support startup ecosystem in the Greater Bay Area. These innovation centers will link together as well as to the Sunwah Innovation Platform to serve as a sharing network for our local and international partners to facilitate greater information exchange, market exposure, connectivity, and program access. So far, the platform has welcomed 28 partners, including top universities, investment funds, incubators, accelerators, and other innovation organizations from Canada, mainland China, Hong Kong, Macau, Korea, Japan, Singapore, Cambodia, and Vietnam. The event today is a kickoff for the Sunwah International Innovation Platform Annual Summit, which we will aim to organize in the coming years to create a common ground for all the partners for better network, discussion innovation initiatives, and establish partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to Ho Chi Minh City's Department of Science and Technology, Department of External Relations, Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, our colleagues at Sunwah Global Youth Innovation Center, and all our supporting partners, including Hong Kong Trade Development Council, Think Zone, Expara, Block 71 Saigon, Business Startup Support Center, and Vietnam Silicon Valley Foundation for their tremendous support in organizing the event. I would also like to send my regards to all the speakers in Hong Kong Science Technology Park, Alibaba Entrepreneurs Fund, Gobi Partners, Vietnam Silicon Valley Capital, Do Ventures, Zeek, Block 71 Saigon, for their participation in this seminar today. I believe their valuable insights will shed light on great potential of the Greater Bay Area and how Vietnamese startups can expand in this area. I hope the seminar will bring fruitful exchanges and more information for your next footprints in the global market. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jesse, for the welcome remarks. And now please join me to welcome Mr. Agustaviano Sofian, Consul General of Indonesia, who are joining us today. Next, it's my honor to bring to the stage Mr. Nguyễn Việt Dũng, Director of Ho Chi Minh City Department of Science and Technology, to come to the stage and give welcome remarks to us. Please.
Somebody to help me to translate. Có người dịch đúng không? Yep. Okay. Kính thưa ngài Jesse Choi, tổng đốc của Sunwah Innovation, các vị tổng lãnh sự và quan chức ngoại giao của các tổng lãnh sự tại Hồ Chí Minh, thưa tất cả quý vị anh chị. Trước tiên thì tôi cũng hết sức là vui mừng được thay mặt cho Sở Khoa học Nghệ ở Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh đến tham dự cái sự kiện của Sunwah Innovation trong cái khuôn khổ là tuần lễ về khởi nghiệp đổi mới sáng tạo của Việt Nam, TECHFEST, cũng như là cái tuần lễ đổi mới sáng tạo và khởi nghiệp của Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, WISE, một cái sự kiện mà diễn ra hàng năm. Sunwah Innovation đó thì cũng mới hình thành không lâu, nhưng mà đã rất tích cực trong cái việc tham gia vào các cái hoạt động của cái cộng đồng đổi mới sáng tạo tại Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Và cụ thể là ngoài những cái hoạt động gần đây, trước đây thì cũng hướng dẫn rồi hỗ trợ một số startup Việt Nam tham gia các cái cuộc thi gọi vốn vân vân. Và hôm nay thì đã tham gia vào một cái sự kiện chính thức của cái tuần lễ đổi mới sáng tạo và khởi nghiệp của Việt Nam. Thì trước đây thì chúng tôi biết là Sunwah cũng đã có hơn 50 năm đầu tư tại Việt Nam và cũng có nhiều đóng góp cho cái sự phát triển của Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh cũng như là của Việt Nam. Và hôm nay cũng bắt đầu có những hoạt động đầu tư vào cái phát triển cái hệ sinh thái đổi mới sáng tạo của Việt Nam. Chúng tôi là cũng đã có một cái mối quan hệ hợp tác với lại Sunwah Innovation từ những ngày đầu. Và đây tôi nghĩ đây là một cái cơ hội lớn cho cái cộng đồng khởi nghiệp đổi mới sáng tạo của Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh nói riêng và Việt Nam nói chung, mở ra thêm một cái thị trường mới để tiếp cận các cái quỹ đầu tư mạo hiểm của khu vực vùng vịnh, cũng như là một cái thị trường mới để có thể các startup có một cái sân chơi nó rộng hơn. Đồng thời chúng tôi cũng rất là welcome các cái startup đến từ các cái thành phố ở trong vùng vịnh đến tham gia mà phát triển cái thị trường tại Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh nói riêng và Việt Nam nói chung. Thì trong cái 2 năm vừa rồi thì các anh chị cũng biết là cái Covid, cho nên là cái hoạt động khởi nghiệp đổi mới sáng tạo của Việt Nam và Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh nó cũng có cái gia giảm. Thì chúng tôi là hỗ trợ cái hoạt động này và cũng theo dõi thường xuyên, thì cũng thấy được cái câu chuyện đấy. Nhưng mà nó cũng có một tín hiệu vui là tuy là trong cái đại dịch vừa rồi lockdown đó, khi chúng tôi tổ chức một cái cuộc thi gọi là Hit Covid 2019 đó, để tìm kiếm các cái giải pháp hỗ trợ cho cái hoạt động của phòng chống dịch cũng như là hoạt động của doanh nghiệp trong cái mùa lockdown, thì cũng có hơn 100 các cái dự án để tham gia. Trong đó cũng chọn được 20 dự án để hỗ trợ, để giới thiệu cho cộng đồng. Nhiều tỉnh bạn cũng hỏi thăm để xem có gì áp dụng được giúp cho đó. Thì tôi nghĩ là các startup của Việt Nam cũng rất thích là năng động, chuyển hướng rất nhanh trong cái mùa dịch. Và một tín hiệu vui khác là theo Space thì đến quý tư vừa rồi đó là Việt Nam thu hút được khoảng hơn 2 tỷ USD về cái đầu tư mạo hiểm. Trong đó Hồ Chí Minh thì chiếm khoảng 1,1 tỷ cái đánh giá của họ. Thì tôi nghĩ đây là một tín hiệu rất tốt, bởi vì so với lại cái thu hút vốn đầu tư mạo hiểm của trước đây của startup thì có tăng hơn khá nhiều, tuy là mùa đại dịch. Thành ra tôi nghĩ là với cái tín hiệu như thế thì hy vọng là sang năm thì không biết là lockdown có còn nữa hay không, nhưng mà chắc là nó cũng lên xuống. Nhưng mà tôi nghĩ là với một xu thế là mình chuyển đổi số, làm việc online vân vân. Tất nhiên hồi nãy tôi có nói chuyện với anh Jesse Choi thì nói chung là face to face nó vẫn tốt hơn. Nhưng mà thôi thì mình bây giờ phải linh động, có cái thì face to face được thì tốt, còn không thì chúng ta cũng cố gắng phát triển trên một cái môi trường làm việc mới, cách mạng công nghiệp 4.0 online. Các kiểu tôi nghĩ là cái đó cũng hết sức là mình phải linh động. Thì hy vọng là cái việc phát triển cái khởi nghiệp đổi mới sáng tạo của thành phố và của Việt Nam nói chung cũng sẽ tiếp tục phát triển. Và chúng tôi cũng một lần nữa xin cảm ơn anh Jesse Choi cũng như là Sunwah Innovation trong cái phối hợp tổ chức các cái sự kiện kết nối cộng đồng khởi nghiệp, đặc biệt là với cái vùng vịnh, mở ra một cơ hội mới cho các startup giữa hai phía. Và cũng hết sức cảm ơn các vị quan chức ngoại giao. Thì ở đây cũng có rất nhiều vị là chúng tôi cũng đã có mối quan hệ hợp tác trước đây, ví dụ như của New Zealand, của Hàn Quốc, hy vọng sắp tới là Campuchia, Indonesia cũng có thể sẽ mở rộng các cái mối quan hệ hợp tác tiếp tục để chúng ta cùng nhau phát triển trên xu thế là win-win. Một lần nữa xin chúc mừng và xin chúc sức khỏe tất cả các vị.
Thank you, Mr. Dũng. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate this special moment, it's our honor to invite the following distinguished guests to the stage for a group photo. Please welcome Mr. Jesse Choi. please come to the stage. Mr. Agustaviano Sofian. Mr. Nguyễn Việt Dũng, please come to the stage. Mr. Joseph Nelson. Mr. Kit Sotiarith. Mr. Shim Jae-yoon. Ms. Tina Phan. And Ms. Stella So. You may return to your seat now. Thank you. And now move to the main part of the seminar today. We will have 3 keynote speeches, followed by a 40-minute panel discussion and a 10-minute Q&A. After that, in addition to the networking section for offline participants, we will arrange a 30-minute talk for Hong Kong Science and Technology Park representatives for the 10 selected startups to further discuss the market expansion and investment opportunities in Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area. If you have any questions for our keynote speakers or panelists, please save them to the end or leave them in the chat box. So now to get started, I'm pleased to invite Ms. Vi Le, co-founder and general partner of Do Ventures, on stage to provide a landscape of the tech investment in Vietnam up to Q3 of 2021. Ms. Vi, please.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests. It's such an honor to be here. And first, I'd like to thank Sunwah Innovaitons. I'd like to thank the Ho Chi Minh City Departments of Science and Technology. I'd like to thank the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park Corporation for inviting me to this wonderful event. Today, I would like to share about the Vietnam tech investment scene. And before I do that, I'd like to give you a brief background about myself and my fund Do Ventures. So my name is Vi Le. I was born and raised in Vietnam. I started making my first dollars when I was 7. I launched my first company when I was 13. I started my first tech company when I was 22, had my first major exit when I was 27, and made my first professional investment as a VC when I was 31. And last year, when I was 33, I co-founded Do Ventures. And Do Ventures is a $50 million VC fund that focuses on making venture investment in tech startups in Vietnam. And we are backed by reputable institutional investors such as Naver and Bua Brothers from Korea, C Group and Vertex Ventures from Singapore, among others. And today I'm very honored to talk about the startup investment scene in Vietnam through the eyes of a local founder and a local VC. So what fueled the growth of the startup ecosystem in the recent years in Vietnam? I'd like to talk about the 4 growth drivers that accelerate the growth of startups. The first one is the talent development. The second one is government support. Third one is infrastructure. And the last one is funding. About talent, I was very fortunate because I started my business very early. That's why I had the chance to know most of the startup from the early day of the internet industry in Vietnam. So from my observations, there are 3 generations of founders in Vietnam. The first generation actually started their business in the 2000 to 2006 period. You can recognize some of the very popular names in Vietnam like VNG. It's actually the largest tech company in Vietnam right now. VMP, Nextech, VC Corp, or STI. What is very worth looking at these companies is they have a very distinct pattern of growth. After many of these companies successfully become the #1 player in their area, they chose to expand horizontally into different sectors. So for example, VNG, they started with gaming. And after they become the #1 gaming company in Vietnam, they started to pivot into new verticals like media, online content like Zing News, Zing MP3. Or now they enter a lot of rising sector like payment, Zalo Pay, messaging app, Zalo, and even e-commerce. For the second generation founders, those that started to do business from 2007 until 2014, they also have very distinct characteristics. So I also consider myself second generation founders because I started my tech company when I was in 2010. The main difference of the second gen founders was that the competition level when the second gen founders started their business was already high. So once they become the dominant player in their vertical, instead of expanding horizontally, they chose to strengthening their core business and expand vertically. For example, Tiki started selling books, and after they become the #1 book selling company online, they started to expand to a lot of categories, including electronics, fashion, even cars now. And after that, they expanded to offer Tiki Now, is his express delivery service. And they even created Tiki Global, is a cross-border e-commerce company. And now we have the third gen founders, those that started their business from 2015 until now. I want to spend a lot of time talking about the third gen founders because this is actually the future of Vietnam right now. We have recognized several interesting characteristics. The first one is the regional and the global ambition. Most of the third gen founders, when they started the company in 2015, there are so many competitors, including the domestic players and a lot of regional players entering Vietnam. And because of globalization, many of the founders in the third gen realized that in order for them to sustain the company, they need to expand regionally in certain sectors. So we see a lot of global mindset and regional mindset from these players. For example, Ecomobi is one company that we invested, and Mr. Chung from VinaCap here also made the investment. And the interesting story that I heard from the founder was that they chose to establish their operation in Indonesia even before they established operation in Vietnam. So we see a very distinct global mindset. And as you may know, I think one of the most famous company in Vietnam right now is Sky Marvis. Is actually the company behind the blockchain game Axie Infinity. And they actually become a global phenomenon, and they rank #1 in the blockchain gaming space globally. Another factor that we recognize is that many of the third-gen founders used to work in developed market. They work for internet giants like Google and Facebook, so they tend to be very focused on core tech, and they apply deep tech into their business. One good example is Elsa, is an edutech company, but they leverage deep learning and AI in their business. And we also recognize that many of the third-gen founders, they used to work for regional players like Grab or Lazada, or many founders exited the business and started new business. We call them serial entrepreneur. Those founders tend to be very good at execution. So to sum up this part, I think the important characteristic I want to point out here is the third-gen founders, they have very distinctive traits. And we think they have a very unique global mindset, and they have very good execution capability. And I strongly believe that the third-gen founders would be the growth drivers of the Vietnam tech ecosystem in the long run. And this map actually demonstrates that many companies from Vietnam, they actually have a global footprint. Sorry, it's because of the format. I think it's not matching the location. But the point is, I think Vietnam startup already have made significant footprints in many parts of the world. And I hope that with the support of Sunwah Innovaitons and definitely the Hong Kong Science Technology Park Corporation, we would see many startups from Vietnam can use Hong Kong as a launchpad to incubate the company and start tapping into the Greater Bay Area. The second factor that I want to briefly mention is the government support. I think we will hear from many speakers today about it part, so I want to go through it very quickly. But I think the most important thing about the government support is the government actually consider startups as the key growth driver of the economy. And we have very clear goal. So I remember that the government set out by 2030, the internet economy would account for 30% of the country GDP. So it's super clear goal. And as a result, you can recognize that there are so many departments and there's so many organizations started by the Ministry of Science and Technology, like NNSC, is creating a lot of initiative to support startups. And the third factor I want to mention is infrastructure. Normally, we will look at the number of internet users and smartphone users, and definitely Vietnam has a very high penetration of smartphone and internet users. But the two factors that I normally look at is payment and logistics. So cash economy to digital payment economy right now. And we have more than 30 million digital payment users, wallet users right now in Vietnam. And there are close to 40 payment companies operating in Vietnam. And in the logistics space, there are an average of 8 new companies coming to the market every year, ranging from last mile logistics to first mile logistics. And normally I observe the service level in Vietnam, and I see tremendous change. So right now, you can ship a product within 30 minutes to an hour in a big city, which is incredible, which is even faster than most of the developed country. And the fourth factor, which is very important for startup in Vietnam, is funding. So I want to share that the number that I display here is actually exclude some of the non-tech PE deals, or it actually exclude the blockchain token fundraising, because it's just too huge. We cannot account all of them. So we mainly focus on the tech VC deal for this report. And as you can see, before 2018, nothing really happened. So we have about 50 million to 100 million every year. But 2018 was actually the tipping point of the tech investment in Vietnam. And we had close to 450 million US dollars pouring into the tech space. And that number actually doubled in 2019 to almost 900 million. And in 2020, because of COVID, we have a temporary setback, and the number actually decreased by half. But as of the first 9 months of 2021, we actually saw rapid recovery, and the number of the first 9 months was already exceeding 600 million US dollars. And we think 2021 would be the record year of tech investment in Vietnam, and we would surpass 1 billion milestone. And here are some of the examples of some of the deals that a lot of people are talking about. I think the notable one are VN Life, and VN Life officially become the second unicorn of Vietnam. And they raised 250 million earlier this year. Another notable deal was Tiki, and they also raised close to 270 million US dollars. And they're approaching the unicorn status very soon. And we have B2B deals like Kiot, which we haven't seen before, like B2B deal raising almost 50 million US dollars. We actually break down all the investment into different stages. And we see that the latest stage, the deal that exceeding 10 million US dollars, is very resilient and continue to grow. But we actually witnessed that the check size from 500,000 to 3 million is actually reaching the record high of investment in the first 9 months of 2021. And we also break down the investment into sectors. So from 2013 till now, payment and retail are the two sectors that receive most of the investment. But for 2021, we actually see the rising of new sectors. First one is education. Second one is business automation or SaaS. And the third one, we actually see the record high of investment into healthcare in Vietnam, which is very encouraging. And we also try to calculate the investment into different rounds, and we see that 2021 is also the record high of Series A investment in Vietnam. And the average ticket size of investment also increased, especially for the Series B round. We also reached a record high of 13 million in the average ticket size for Series B. So looking forward, I think Vietnam is still considered one of the main markets for a lot of investors in Southeast Asia. And we did a survey with the top 50 active funds in Southeast Asia. And some of the sectors that would receive a lot of attention from the investor would be education, would be healthcare, would be SaaS, and especially some of the subsector within the financial services, like wealth management or lending. And we cannot ignore the rising of blockchain. I think this is a tipping point of the startup ecosystem in Vietnam, and we will continue to see many innovation in blockchain, including gaming, GameFi, DeFi, and many other applications. So I want to end my presentation by sharing a very personal story. So back in 2004, I was 17 years old, and I was an exchange student in the US. When I was in the US, one of my American friends asked me where I'm from. And I shared with him that I'm from Vietnam. So immediately he asked me, are you guys still fighting over there? And I remember that it was in 2004. I was shocked, but it took me like 30 minutes to explain to him that Vietnam is a safe country, you know, we're growing very fast. I tried to show him some photos about Vietnam from my phone. But I went home, and you know, it kept me thinking. I think I couldn't blame him, because most of the thing the American learned about Vietnam is through the history textbook. So I think this is my vision for Vietnam, that Vietnam shouldn't be remembered as a country of war, but as the next tech hub of the world. And I think with all the participation from Sunwah Innovation, from the departments, the Ho Chi Minh City Department of Science and Technology, from the Hong Kong Science Technology Park Corporation, and all the participants today, we can make this vision come true. Thank you very much for your listening.
And thank you, Ms. Ville, for the very informative and exciting updates on Vietnam startup scene. I would really like to recall her last message: Vietnam should be the tech hub of the world. And to achieve that, ecosystem stakeholders need to join hands to increase the global footprint of Vietnam startups. We hope after this event, Vietnamese startup will see the Greater Bay Area as the next appealing destination to explore. Now, to better understand what the Greater Bay Area is and why it's so attractive to international startups, I would like to invite Mr. Jason Choi, Director of Sunwah Group and Chairman of Sunwah Global Youth Innovation Center, to give an overview of the area and what support our Nansha Center is providing to overseas startup. Mr. Jason Choi is joining us virtually from Nansha, Guangzhou, China.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the Sunwah Global Youth Innovation Center in Nansha, China, I'm delighted to be here to host a sub-venue of the Hong Kong Greater Bay Area, promising opportunities untapped for Vietnamese startups webinar. Welcome, everybody. First of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to the representatives of Vietnamese officials, academics, and startups entrepreneurs. As we all know, the global epidemic has been going on for 2 years. Enterprises from all over the world have been greatly affected by the pandemic. In this economic environment, both mature companies and startups need a broader platform to lead their teams going out of the current difficulties. Vietnam is one of the fastest growing countries in Southeast Asia and ranks in the top 3 behind Indonesia and Singapore in the region's most dynamic innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. In 2020, nearly 135,000 new businesses were registered. The activity and scale of Vietnamese startups deserve the world's attention. As a friendly neighbor of Vietnam, the Greater Bay Area welcomes Vietnamese startups to conduct and exchange cooperations with the Greater Bay Area. The Guangdong-Hong-Kong-Macao Greater Bay Area is a huge growth engine of China. With a total of 56,000 square kilometers. By the end of 2020, the Greater Bay Area had a population of about 86 million and GDP nearly 1,700 billion USD. The GBA has already proven to be capable of nurturing successful startups that shine not only regionally, but globally. DJI, SenseTime, WeBank, Cloak, Lalamove, and WeLab, to name just a few. Moreover, the GBA has proven to bring companies to successful exits, such as Tencent, Huawei, and Ping An. Nansha District, located in the geographic and geometric center of the Greater Bay Area, is the only seaport in Guangdong and an important junction connecting the urban agglomeration on both sides of the Pearl River entry with Hong Kong and Macau. It is a national development zone, free trade zone, demonstration zone of all-rounded cooperation between Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau. As for going down to individuals, Nansha provides many preferential policies for enterprises, such as an employment benefit, incentives for entrepreneurship, discount interest on loans, housing support, medical insurance subsidies, and other relevant policies. Hong Kong Sunwah Group is a multinational company with 8 business sectors, as Mr. Jesse Choi mentioned earlier. Our younger generations have also gradually involved in youth innovation. With the support of the Nansha District Government, the Guangzhou City Government, and the Guangdong Provincial Government, we established the Sunwah Global Youth Innovation Center, which is located at the waterfront square of Innovation Bay in Nansha CBD. The center has a professional operation team to escort startups and will fully understand the specific needs of the companies and combine it with the relevant resources advantages to cooperate with the development of enterprises in various aspects. Our center is a 6-story building. It provides suitable space to your needs and also reduces the communication barrier between international companies and the Chinese government, helping companies to focus more on their own development. I hope to use Nansha as a window to introduce our international resources. I welcome Vietnamese startups to Nansha for entrepreneurship and development. Although our innovation center is located in Nansha, as Jesse mentioned, our Sunwah innovation platforms are all over China and the world. Nansha Center is the innovation and entrepreneurship base of Sunwah Group in GBA, which can connect with SWIFT to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. Nevertheless, we still attach great importance to the development of the Greater Bay Area and hope to take Nansha as a starting point to lead startups to work together with each city in the Greater Bay Area to create a bright future. I believe that with the advantages of the Sunwah Group in Vietnam for 50 years and taking root in China for many decades, we have been and will be a bridge between China and Vietnam. We provide a platform for Vietnamese startups to analyze China's national development policies and provide more chances for exchanges. A startup enterprise faces many difficulties, but talent, capital, and market count. For the startups settled in the center, in addition to the original preferential policies for foreign-funded enterprises in Nan Sha district, Vietnamese startups also have the opportunity to obtain the help and support of Sunwah Group and our partners. In terms of talent, we will work hard to find, train, and recommend outstanding talents in various industries to foreign startups. In terms of capital, we will stimulate the corresponding special fund for investment. Sunwah Group and many partners also give the priority to startups based in the center. Sunwah Group itself has corresponding financial institutions that can help startups list in Shenzhen, Hong Kong, and London. For instance, one of our startups was running a F&B business with 200 sales points across the country when we noticed it. After evaluation of the company, our financial team decided to encourage and help them to be listed in the Hong Kong stock market in June this year. By the end of August 2021, it released its interim results. Revenue for the first half of 2021 reached 2.13 billion RMB, which has increased 80% compared from the same period in 2020. On the market side, based on our well-connected relationship with partners such as Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, Hong Kong Cyberport, City University of Hong Kong, Jinan University in Guangzhou, and Sunwah's business networks, we can help startups explore the market and establish corresponding industrial and supply chains in Greater Bay Area. The first step is always important. We're willing to provide a learning and communication platform for startups, helping them to be born, grow, develop, and expand. We will give each startup the help and support it needs, according to its own development level. For example, for newly established startups, we will provide one-stop services related to office space, legal affairs, and taxation, and recommend talents to you, looking for funds and markets to help you to get your business on the right track. For mature startups, we can help you expand your market and even help you to be listed successfully. With the alliance of Sunwah Innovaitons across China, Vietnam, and Cambodia. We're confident that the Greater Bay Area is one of the ideal places to start up your business. Finally, I'd like to thank the Nansha District Government and our strategic partners for their help and support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jason Choi, for your sharing. So while Nansha is positioned as the marine hub of the Greater Bay Area, Hong Kong has long been known as an international financial capital and an ideal place for doing business. Coming up next, I would like to invite Mr. Peter Mok, Head of Greater Bay Area from Hong Kong Science and Technology Park Corporation, to explain the role of Hong Kong as a gateway and springboard to the Greater Bay Area. Mr. Mok, please.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Peter Mok from Hong Kong Science Park. Right. First of all, I would like to thank Sunwah Innovation, Jesse, Jason. Thanks for inviting me. And I also like to thank Ho Chi Minh City Department of Science and Technology for letting us to have this opportunity to introduce our GBA and Hong Kong Science Park to the audience. So my topic today is Hong Kong as a springboard and a gateway to the Greater Bay Area. Just a few minutes ago, Jason has given us a very comprehensive overview of what GBA is and the business opportunities. So let me, based on his story, and carry on what we're going to offer. Okay, first of all, you can see that under the 14th Five-Year Plan of China, it is a national policy and a social development blueprint covering the year 2021 to 2025 to position Hong Kong in terms of China, to position Hong Kong as an international tech hub. So Hong Kong is now better integrated into the overall development of the country, and especially in the Greater Bay Area. So what we're trying to focus is to have the Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and Guangdong area as the base of innovation and technology. So I repeat this map again, and you can see that we have 9 cities in the southern tip of China, plus Hong Kong and Macau, forming the Greater Bay Area. So in each of these cities, they have different focuses. Say, for example, in Shenzhen, we do have information technologies, internet, electronics, and manufacturing. And slightly north in the city of Dongguan, they're very strong in robotics and advanced manufacturing. And in Guangzhou, as well as the nearby city of Zhongshan, they're very good and strong. They're focusing on healthcare and biomedical services. And in Nansha, as Jason mentioned before, they're very focused on various types of electronics and high technology developments with the cluster of universities there. So in terms of Hong Kong, as I mentioned before, we start to integrate more closely with the GBA, where Hong Kong is part of the GBA. You can see the very recent, just last month, I think, the Hong Kong Chief Executive Policy Address. You can see that we're trying to, across the border of Hong Kong and Shenzhen, to further integrate it into the 2 cities with the 3 different circles. On the left-hand side of the chart, you can see the Shenzhen Bay area. The first circle will be focusing on quality development. So, a lot of manufacturing, businesses, etc., will be clustered around there. And on the right-hand side, you can see an area called Mines Bay. And the focus would be on the ecosystem, eco environment, recreational, and tourism circle. And in the middle, for the pink circle, you can see that it is named as the Hong Kong Shenzhen Close Interaction Circle. So there you can see a lot of different small letters, 1, 2, 3, etc. Right? So you can see that all these are border control points. So it's quite rare in any part of the world that you can see so many border control points within 2 cities. So the development would be very huge. And the middle of the map, in the middle circle, is actually very much focusing on innovation and technology. The whole zone will rename it as the Northern Metropoles. So we zoom in a little bit. You can see that in the right-hand side, the middle picture is actually the Sunwah River, and we circle it with we call it KONG-MACAO Loop, where we are building another science park, which is 4 times the existing science park. So it's actually right across the border. And through this piece of land, we'll actually integrate with Sunwah Development Zone. So at the existing moment, we are having around 430 hectares of land, focusing on innovation technology as well as industrial development. So in this policy address, the government has earmarked another 250 hectares of land in the coming 1 or 2 decades for innovation and technology. So you can see the input in terms of resources is actually very huge in Hong Kong to integrate with neighboring cities. So tapping into GBA resources, you can see that in terms of Hong Kong, we do have a very huge population of international businesses. As of late last year, we have close to 10,000 overseas business operations in Hong Kong, and we have around 4,000 startups as of today in Hong Kong. Most of them are focusing on innovation and technology. So the fundraising in terms of IPOs has been increased year on year by over 50%. And the turnover of stock market is up by 70% last year. So in terms of bond issuance, Hong Kong is first in Asia. In terms of healthcare and biomedical IPOs, which we just launched, we call it Chapter 18A listing rules, only 3-4 years ago. And now we're first in Asia and second in the world in terms of healthcare and medical IPOs. So on the bottom of that, you can see the advantage of Hong Kong. We do have a very robust intellectual property protection systems based on common law. The taxation here is a very simple regime. So we only have a very, very lightweight corporate tax as well as salary tax. So the freedom of speech, information, people flow, etc., I think is top in Asia. In terms of infrastructure, as I mentioned before, a lot of resources pouring in. And in terms of education, I think we're proud of it. We have 8 government-funded universities in Hong Kong, and 5 of which are actually ranked top 100 in the QS World Ranking. So everybody knows that Hong Kong is famous for as a global financial center. A lot of people query whether Hong Kong, the Greater Bay Area, could be a good focal point globally as an innovation technology center. So based on the Global Innovation Index, we can see that the clustering of Shenzhen, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou is only second to Tokyo and Yokohama Bay Area. So I think that would be very important, followed by Beijing. So I think the Greater Bay Area would be a very important market for all different tech startups, tech companies in Asia as a potential market. So let me spend a few minutes to introduce to you who we are, what Science Park is. Science Park is a statutory body, meaning that we only have one shareholder, which is Hong Kong government, and yet we are not part of the government. We're an independent organization. So at this this present moment, at our main campus, which is focusing on R&D, we have 4 million square feet of R&D offices, as well as lab space, communal spaces, and science park. Together, as of today, we are actually supporting over 1,000 tech enterprises coming from 23 different nations. The total working population as of today is 17,000 people. And out of these 17,000 executives, 11,000 of them are hardcore R&D people. So we have over 200 public and private sector partnership schemes our companies last year received over 300 awards. In the past few years, we have groomed 3 unicorns inside Science Park, namely the SenseTime, SparkMore, and Nana Move. And actually, with one more in the pipeline, well, you just move in, which is a Ski Plus. So out of these 1,000 tech enterprises, we are also supporting another over 500 startups in our various incubation and acceleration programs. And in terms of investment, of course, Hong Kong is a financial market. We shouldn't have problem in financing, but actually for early stage tech investment, which is in Hong Kong is not really that easy. But in the past few years' time, we see that the early stage been able to raise 40 billion Hong Kong dollars. And we also run a very small investment fund, and we are able to leverage 13 times for private investment into the systems in the past few years' time. So apart from the main campus for R&D that I just mentioned, we're also managing the Lok-Ma-Chau Loop where I just mentioned, which is 4 times Science Park. We're building it, which is across the border. And on the bottom left-hand corner, we are also managing another center in downtown Hong Kong, focusing on fintech and e-commerce. On the right-hand side, in the 3 different cities in Hong Kong, namely Tai Po, Yuen Long, and Tseung Kwan O, we're having almost all, if not all the manufacturing compounds in Hong Kong will reside in these 3 industry estates. Tai Po is more focusing on food sector, food industry. For Yuen Long, we have over 10 leading pharmaceutical companies there. And Tseung Kwan O, we're focusing on data technology as well as telecommunications. This is one of the top 3 telecom centers in Asia. So in terms of these industrial centers, we are now revamping them into focusing on reindustrialization and advanced manufacturing for Hong Kong. So with new centers like the microelectronic centers, that will be complete in year 2023. We have just early this year launched the Data Technology Hub. A new advanced manufacturing center will be open within 2 weeks' time, which is called Advanced Manufacturing Center. We also have a Mart Center, which is focusing on medical appliances and other medical supplies, opening in the year 2021. So yet we still have a few more major mega-sized building coming out very soon. So I mean, we are in the process of reindustrialization, focusing on very top advanced manufacturing and the high value added process of R&D. What we're trying to do is to link up the basic technology as well as translational research into the economy, into the industries. So that's what we're trying to do. In terms of GBA strategy, we are not just focusing on one cities or the GBA, but what we're trying to do is to be a springboard between GBA and China as well as the world. So what we're going to do is to attract companies from different parts of China into the GBA, and through GBA Hong Kong to the global market and vice versa. So we welcome companies from different parts of the world to land in Hong Kong, and through Hong Kong to the GBA, and then to the China markets. So it's a two-way game for us. We have 6 pillars of technology that will focus that we actually sync up with the national policy, namely the healthcare, big data and AI, robotics, new materials, microelectronics, as well as fintech. So as we are focusing very much on deep tech, we're working very closely with the universities in Hong Kong, with leading universities in China, 5 government-funded research institutes in Hong Kong, as well as 16 state key laboratories from China in Hong Kong. In the recent year, we also work with leading universities from around the world with a program called Inno Hong Kong, where we are now having 28 research projects from leading universities around the world. So that would be a very important cluster of origin of deep tech from universities and research centers. Plus, Hong Kong GBA as a major commercial and financial center, you can see that our role is to speed up the translational research and the commercialization side by tapping in all these research centers and universities and work with the global partners. So in terms of GBA sort of strategy, following the 14th five-year plan of China, what we're trying to do is to get companies, to get partners from different parts of the world into GBA and vice versa. In terms of inbound companies from different parts of the world into GBA, our first focus to help them is in terms of market development, followed by talents, manufacturing supply chain, as well as venture capital. And for companies from China to Hong Kong and to the world, we're focusing, the priority would be first, capital, institutional capital, as Hong Kong is one of the largest capital city in the world, followed by global market, talent, as well as deep technology. So in terms of go-to-market, we do have quality resources for companies from different parts of the world. On the top left-hand side, you can see that we have a very complete system of startup support, from ideation to core incubation program to acceleration and global expansion. We have 4 different clusters of programs to help companies from idea all the way to globalization. And then we do have very strong market adoption by working with leading corporates in Hong Kong as well as globally. In terms of training, education, and talent development, with a very strong branding program called Inno Academy, which is quite well recognized in GBA. And you can see some pictures down there in my chart. These are the laboratories, support centers, as well as the living quarters in Science Park. So we are encouraging work, life, and play here in Science Park. So that's what I have today. And last but not the least, I would like to thank once again the Sunwah Innovation, Ho Chi Minh City Department of Science and Technology, and may I wish the TECHFEST as well as Ho Chi Minh City Week of Innovation, Startup and Entrepreneurship 2021 a success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peter Mok, again for the very, very detailed analysis. And I believe that we've all gained valuable insights from their presentation. Once again, thank you, Ms. Ville, Mr. Jason Choi, and Mr. Peter Mok for your sharings. I'm now excited to invite you, all of you, to join us in the second section of today's event, a panel discussion on how to pave a global path for Vietnamese startups. We're delighted to bring together a powerful panel with panelists coming from leading organizations, investment funds, regionally expanding startups from Hong Kong and Vietnam. So don't miss this chance to address your concern with the experts. Again, for offline participants, you can raise the question directly to our panelists. And for online participants, please share your questions by typing directly in the chat box. We appreciate if you can leave your email address next to your question or email us at partnership@swinno.com.vn. So now please join me to welcome our distinguished panelists. From Hong Kong, please welcome Mr. Peter Mok, Mr. Tony Tung, Managing Director of Gobi Partners, Mr. Teddy Lui, Operations Director of Alibaba Entrepreneurship Fund, and Mr. Vincent Phan, Co-founder and CSO of Zik. From Vietnam, it's our great pleasure to welcome Mr. Linh Han, Co-founder and Managing Partner of Vietnam Silicon Valley Capital from Hanoi. And last but not least, special thanks to our host, Mr. Duc Dang, Head of Block 71 Saigon. Mr. Duc and distinguished guests, the floor is yours.
Hello. Hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Very good afternoon to everyone here today. My great pleasure to be here. My name is Duc from Block 71 Saigon, strategic partnership between NUS Enterprise and Baker Max IDC. So today with me here today, I'm the only guest to be here today. Unfortunately, we have great panelists joining the panel discussion today, but because of COVID, they are not here. So earlier, during the earlier session, we hear about Ms. Ville talking about the evaluations of the ecosystem in Vietnam. We hear from Jason about how Sunwah Innovations ecosystem can support startup to link up with Hong Kong, with Greater Bay Area. And then after that, we also hear from Mr. Peter to talk about how Hong Kong Science Technology Parks can be a gateway to support startup in Hong Kong and also in Greater Bay Area, expand and grow, and also from overseas startup. So now we come to the session, the panel discussion about the untapped opportunities for startup in Vietnam, how they can grow and tap on the opportunities in the Greater Bay Area. When we are talking about the economy of 86 millions of populations, and also 1/8 of population of China, which is huge and comprising 11 cities all around in the Greater Bay Area. So without further ado, I would like to make a quick introductions about our distinguished panelists today. So first, I would like to invite Mr. Ling, founder and managing partner of VSV Capital. We will have a round of quick introductions. Mr. Ling, please.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to join today. My name is Linh, and I am the managing partner of VSV Capital. And we've been investing in startups in Vietnam since 2014. And mostly we specialize in investing in very early stage startup. But about 2 years ago, we started expanding into VC investment as well. And our most notable investment to date is probably Lozi, where we invest for the company since they are a very small $100,000 companies to now worth more than $150 million.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ling. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Peter Mok, Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, head of Greater Bay Area. Would you like to have further introduction?
This is Peter. I'm really happy to speak here again, and I also like to thank my friends here from Hong Kong to join this panel, because this is very important that in Asia, what we're trying to do is to work together. GB is very important areas that we are now focusing on, but what we're trying to do is to really tap into also the rest of Asia to ensure that we have a bigger market and that the best technology could have a better channel to go to the relevant markets and get a better relevant support. So thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Next, we would like to invite Mr. Tony, Managing Director of Gobi Partners. Would like to have some words. Mr. Tony, please.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. It's Tony. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, so I'm Tony, so I'm the Managing Director of Gobi Partners here in the Greater Bay Area practice. So I'm based here in Hong Kong, and currently I'm in Shanghai right now, going back to take a look to the Greater Bay Area and also the China market. So Gobi Partners, we started off in 2002 as the first batch of local Chinese VC firm here in the country. And then all along the years, we expanded into nearly 13 offices around the world. So we have a China practice, we have our Southeast Asia practice, and also we have the Middle East practice. So we position ourselves as a Pan-Asia firm here in Asia. And of course, we have in pushing and they insight about how the China developed about that so much.
Thank you, Tony. So next, I would like to invite Mr. Teddy Loy, Operation Director of Alibaba Hong Kong Entrepreneurship Fund. Would you like to have some word now? Thank you.
Hi. First of all, thank you for having me today. And thank you, Peter, to extend the invitation to me. And I'm Operations Director of Alibaba Entrepreneur Fund in Hong Kong. The fund is under Alibaba Group, and we are focusing is quite different from the rest of investment team of Alibaba Group because we're focusing on in Hong Kong and also GBA. And we started 6 years ago. We launched the fund with 1 billion Hong Kong dollars, talking about 130 million US dollar. And why I say we are quite different from other VC, because our focus is not to just try to maximize our financial return from our investment, but why Jack decided to set up this fund, because we would like to support the development of local startup ecosystem, not just for Hong Kong, but also for the region, and make Hong Kong a startup hub. I know Hong Kong government has put a lot of effort and resources to support this initiative, but we believe that as one of the company from the private sector, we also has that kind of responsibility to support this development. And another beauty part of this fund is not just about the capital investment. And we are trying to leverage the resources from Alibaba Group. As you may know, we are in many different sectors like e-commerce, logistics, fintech, semiconductor, and also many, I just name a few, but because we have a huge, it's quite big ecosystem already, we have our own IP marketplaces, not just in China, but also in global. And so we try to leverage the resources from our group, from the different business units from Alibaba Group. And so we try to leverage those resources to help the startup to go faster. Yeah, and that's our initiative. Of course, Hong Kong is part of GBA, and we welcome all those great talents and great companies to Hong Kong. But when they try to settle in Hong Kong, they need some sort of support. As Peter just mentioned, from Science Park and also maybe Cyberport, they have a lot of a program that can support the overseas companies to come to Hong Kong and GBA. But at the same time, I would like to mention Alibaba Entrepreneur Fund is also another one from private sector. We can provide capital investment for the companies with great potential. At the same time, if we would like to tap into Alibaba ecosystem, I think we can be the super connector for everyone. Yeah, and that's my introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Teddy. And next, last but not least, we would like to introduce Mr. Vincent, co-founder and CSO of Zik. Understand that Zik is already entered into Vietnam, so we'd love to hear more from you, Vincent.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. I'm very excited to join. So I'm Vincent, the co-founder and also Chief Strategy Officer of Zik. We founded in 2017 in Hong Kong. And of course, with the support of Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, we are now growing into the region. So we are actually focusing in the Southeast Asia market. We have now presence in multiple markets like Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and also Vietnam. So the products that we offer, we basically are a smart logistic company that we provide last mile logistic from 30 minutes delivery to 2 to 4 hours delivery to same day, next day delivery of e-commerce. So we also have an offering which we offer our system, data service and solution to our client. For those that who would like to transform themselves from offline business to online, especially nowadays when we talk about quick commerce, is next stage of the e-commerce, which have been developed for a number of years now. So quick commerce, we are talking about more faster delivery, more data-driven experience, and more integrated experience of offline to online. So happy to join this panel and looking forward to more sharing with all the panelists here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vincent. And then, so now for this panel discussion, we are going to cover 3 parts. The first one, we talk about opportunities and challenge. And then second part, we talk about the local ecosystem, how we can support startup to grow and especially grow globally. And the next one, the last one, we have a startup perspective to see how they see the opportunities, the differences between Vietnam and global market. And then after that, we will have a Q&A session so that everyone here sitting here in Sunwah Innovation Center or those who are watching online can also have the questions for our speaker. Because we only have 40 minutes, so I'm going to have a first round of questions for each of the speaker here. So first, let's have a questions for Mr. Tony Tong, Managing Director of Gobi Partners. We understand that Gobi is one of the first few China VC entering into Vietnam market, into Southeast Asian market since 2010. And so we'd like to hear more from you about Gobi ASEAN's portfolio and what is your investment strategy in Southeast Asia? Is go to Greater Bay Area is one of the criteria or one of the part of the strategy that you select your portfolio in Southeast Asia? And what is your plan for Vietnam? And then you have any challenge when you are looking for startup from Vietnam market? Over to you, Tony.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, hey guys, hello, I'm Tony. Yeah, thank you so much for everyone to here to listen a little bit of I'll share our story of our Gobi partners. So, so Gobi has been expanded into Southeast Asian markets in 2010, and our founding partners actually moved and their family from Shanghai to Global for around a few years later, around 2015, 2016. So we started to expand into other Vietnam. So from all past years, we invested a few successful startups in Southeast Asia.
Sorry, Teddy, Tony.
Especially one of the hottest is a Malaysian customer. There are to be happening. Hello, can you guys hear me?
We have a bit of difficulty to hear you. I think the signal is not that good.
Yeah, maybe I just cut it short. So actually, we found very interesting opportunities here in Vietnam, especially in terms of fintech, in terms of blockchain, in terms of all different, for example, gaming startup here in this country, and I think it's benefit from the high quality of computer scientists or programming, coding talents here in Vietnam. And there are actually a lot of different innovations happening here in this country. And we found that our experience in China and also in other parts of Southeast Asian countries actually can be applied, can be applicable in investing here in Vietnam. And in terms of our Southeast Asian strategies, so our strategy is always about Pan-Asia strategies. So by investing into promising startup in any one single market here in Southeast Asia, we aim to further develop and bring that entrepreneurs or the team from their local home countries to conquer the entire Southeast Asia or even the entire Asia market. That's why Vietnam is very important, very strategic locations for us. Greater Bay Area, China is also very strategic locations for us. And we are here to be a global connector in helping entrepreneurs all around Asia to develop the Asian business. So I think there is more or less this for our philosophy and our investment strategies here in the country and also in the continent in general.
Thank you, Tony. And so we can understand that you're looking for a lot of IT talents from Southeast Asia, especially from Vietnam, and then bring a lot of experience from how China ecosystem has been evolving, and then that can be applied here in the market. Thanks. And next, I would like to turn to Mr. Teddy Operation Director of Alibaba Entrepreneur Funds. So we understand that the Alibaba Group as the whole, and also AEF, Alibaba Entrepreneur Funds, have a lot of initiative and programs like in order to support the startup that can tap on the Alibaba like very extensive ecosystem. The program like Alibaba Cloud Global Startup Accelerator, the Jump Starter. So can you please share with us a bit more about those programs? And then also like from your experience, what kind of solutions, what kind of traits of the startup that will have the potential to expand or to go to the market of likely to succeed in Hong Kong and GBA market? Over to you, Teddy. Hello, Teddy. Can you unmute yourself? I think you are on mute now.
Oh, thank you for the question. As you just mentioned, Alibaba is quite a comprehensive ecosystem itself. We are in many different industries, but what Jack has decided to is part of the corporate culture. We always remind all the business leaders that we stay in a startup mode. And so we're always looking for some new directions. We always stay hungry, stay aggressive. But one of the approaches to stay in the startup mode is cooperate with the startup companies. We invest, we also acquire some other companies to enhance our whole ecosystem. And of course, we also welcome the other companies or other groups to join our ecosystem as well. And in this approach, I would say all our BUs, they have different investment teams. They are always looking for different solutions or different partners in the market. And especially for the countries in Southeast Asia, as you may have heard about, we like M Fund, we have a lot of new development in Indonesia, Malaysia, and also we have a team in Vietnam as well. And AliCloud is one of the biggest cloud service provider in the world. And of course, we focus more on this region. Yeah, and every year they also have a competition, a pitch competition. But their approach is not just looking for the investment opportunities, because all our BU, they have very clear and strict business direction. For 3 years or 5 years, they have a future plan. And so that they know where they want to go, and they know what kind of companies will have synergies with our group. Okay, so basically, most of the team, investment team, they are looking for the strategic investment opportunities. Yeah, and of course, it's not easy to get to them to have a perfect match, because we are moving so fast, and we are always trying to capture the most innovative idea, because we are not just developing our existing markets now. We are trying to expand or capture the new opportunities in the future. Okay, so different BUs, we have different kind of initiative. Like AliCloud, we have a global competition. Of course, they focus more on the smart city, IoT, anything related to cloud. Okay, and so they have several rounds in 6 months. As I heard, they have been host this competition in Milan already. And also for Alibaba Entrepreneur Fund, we have a annual competition every year. It's called Jump Starter. And actually, this week we are having our semi-pitch for the top 100 teams. And that opportunity is quite different from what I just mentioned with AliCloud or N Group. It's purely pitch competition for the startup company. We the mandate of Alibaba Entrepreneur Fund is try to promote the innovation and try to help those young companies with great potential in Hong Kong, in GBA, or in global markets. And that we're quite open. It's not strategic investment, but we try to focus and allocate our capital investment to those potential companies. And hopefully they can have a presence in Hong Kong and GBA. Okay, and not just from the capital perspective, but also we are trying to, as I just mentioned earlier, we are trying to connect them with different business units. Yeah, and our focus is focusing on those young companies like Series A or even younger. Okay, and they business advice or consultation, and that's what we're trying to do to provide comprehensive support to those young companies. And of course, it's not 100% guaranteed they can fit in our ecosystem. So we also help them to explore the opportunities, not just in Alibaba ecosystem, but also in Hong Kong and GBA, because we have formed a very strong corporate network. Yeah, actually, like Science Park is also one of a close partner to work together on this area. And we try to explore new opportunities for the staff. At the same time, we are helping those corporates in our network to looking for new innovation to enhance their core business or traditional business. And that's what we do. So business matching is not an easy task, especially for young startups. Yeah, but we believe that for those potential, the company with great potential, what they need is not just the capital investment, but it's an opportunity to prove their concept, to prove their products, yeah, and also generate more data for themselves. I think Hong Kong is a perfect place, especially now it's become a part of the GBA. It's a big market. We are talking about more than 70 million population in this area. For us, we have invested in over almost 60 companies already in the past 5 years. Some of them, they trying to expand, not just to China, but also to Southeast Asia. And a few of them, they also face the challenging of talent, because Hong Kong's lack of talent, especially when you're talking about those technical people. And some of them have set up a technical team, a product teams in Vietnam already. Yeah, and I think when we're talking about the region, we are trying to leverage each other's advantages. In Hong Kong, we are well connected with the rest of the world. Another part is that we also have an alliance with many different type of investors, not just the local one, but like the investors from Silicon Valley, from different countries. We try to work together, and because after all the companies, at the end of the day, they would like to expand their business to different area. And we believe that have a stronger network and connection with different parties, investors, corporates, and other accelerators or incubators in other countries is also very important. I think Hong Kong is as well known as international cities, and we have a very strong financial service as well and logistics. So it's not necessary you need to step in Hong Kong to become one of the successful startups, but you can leverage. Today we are trying to introduce, we have a lot of advantages here, and that's for you to leverage. Yeah, and especially I would like to say, from in the past 6 to 5 years, Hong Kong government and the private sectors, they work together, have made a much better environment for the companies, especially for those young companies. Yeah, and so this is a very good springboard for everyone, no matter you tap into China market or global market.
Thank you, Teddy. So we can see that This is a very great potential investment fund where the startup can look for not only the financial investment but also the support from company like Alibaba, group like Alibaba, where you can tap on extensive ecosystem of them, and especially those who can fall under the investment thesis and can tap on the strategic alliance with Alibaba. All right. So next, I would like to pose the question. We come back to Mr. Peter Mock from Hong Kong Science Technology Park. So earlier, you also have a short presentation sharing with us about the opportunities and challenges, and Hong Kong can be a springboard to venture into the Greater Bay Area. So from your now, we are going into a more specific questions about what do you see is the great opportunities and challenges for startup from Southeast Asia, from Vietnam to be specific, that they can enter to the market, and what are the available resources that they can tap on when they can go to Hong Kong Science Technology Park or any other stakeholder in Hong Kong. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your question. So let me address the opportunity part first, especially for Vietnam. And actually, in the past few years, I've been sitting on various panels, meeting startups in Vietnam, and the performance is impressive. The quality is improving. The number of the startups in Vietnam is growing very rapidly. So, and I can see that they're very strong in ICT, IoT related business and business models, which is very important. So I think Hong Kong will be a very good place as a springboard to test out the market before entering into the Greater Bay areas. But apart from these ICT more or IT related technology companies in the Greater Bay areas, there are a few more areas I think I would like to draw attention for startups from Vietnam. These include healthcare, because we get a very, unlike Vietnam, we get a very aging population in Hong Kong and in China. So I think healthcare would be very big, great potential in GBA. And the second one will be big data and AI. So almost all industry, no matter what you want to offer, I think you have to have the capability of big data and AI. So I think this is the second area. The third area, because in Hong Kong, we're focusing on the reindustrialization, and in GBA, we work with a lot of manufacturing enterprises, and we see that they would like to upgrade their businesses, the manufacturing processes, and they actually move away those low value added and labor intensive sort of processes away from GBA. So in that areas, we do believe, apart from AI and big data, robotics and advanced manufacturing product solution will be very important. Related to it is special materials. We work very closely with universities in Hong Kong on special materials, applying to not just fashion, clothing, but also biomedical sciences related products. The other one would be microelectronics. Almost all different provinces in China is focusing on microelectronics. In the eastern part of China, they're focusing more on semiconductor. But in southern part of China, we're working more on the on different parts of the microelectronics, very specifics like sensors, EDA, etc. And last but not the least, is a financial center actually in GBA with two stock exchange. Actually, you can see that the two financial markets is quite important. So fintech is important. So I think fintech is important. So these are the major opportunities that I think that exist in Hong Kong as well as in the GBA. So, but however, I mean, the marketplace is huge. As Jason said, that the population is huge, over 80 million people in GBA. But the competition is very keen, very, very keen. Whatever idea, whatever product you think of, there might be a few competitors already. You have to prepare to outbid your competitors, to have your product or solution or technology uniqueness in order to enter the market. If you're good enough, if you're unique enough, so there are a lot of investors, corporates that will adopt your technology. So the other thing I think, apart from opportunities, there are also some challenges, right? In China, in GBA, in different cities, I think the business practices and the legal compliance regulation could be slightly different, and it could be very different from the homeland, from Vietnam. So we usually suggest global startups to first land in Hong Kong, where the legal systems would be more amicable for global companies, and then we'll work together with them to enter GBA through our new center in Shenzhen. So we're actually going to open a sub-campus, a branch in Shenzhen very soon, within the next 2 quarters. So we'll try to springboard companies from different parts of the world through Hong Kong into GBA, where we will provide full-blown of services to help them. The third area, I think, for startup that they need to be take care of is the business model. I think it's important, not just the technology or the solutions, but also in the model business, how to deliver it into GBA, into various GBA market. You need to understand that thoroughly. And lastly, I think as Teddy and Tony mentioned, I think capital investment is very important, especially when you as a startup or scale up, when you first enter into a relatively big market in GBA. If you could secure a strategic investment as early as possible from strategic investors, they will bring you into different markets. They'll help you to resolve a lot of hurdles in the domestic market. I think that's important. And once you grow up to a certain scale, and then we'll suggest the company to use Hong Kong as a major venue for fundraising, where you can start to attract capital from different parts of the world. I think that would be my advice to startups. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Peter. And so after, thank you for your insight and then also sharing about opportunities on the sectors that have a huge potential in Hong Kong and Greater Bay Area, and also some of the key insights on like what are the challenges, like intense competitions, because we understand that the ecosystem in China overall is very much mature, and then a lot of competitors all over the world also coming to the ecosystem, and also about like how you can build a business model that can be relevant to the market as well. Thanks so much for your insight, and then now let's go back to hear from Mr. Ling. From VSV Capital's, one of the very pioneering ecosystem player in Vietnam. VSV has been in the country for a while, and then have been very close to the government to support in terms of policy makings. So I would like to hear more from Ling about how do you see the startup in Vietnam? Do they have global mindset from the beginning? What are the challenges, what are the barriers that they have in order to expand overseas? And what do you see are the some of the area that the government can do more to support like overseas investment to Vietnam, into startup in Vietnam, and also in a way that can support them to expand to their markets overseas as well. So over to you, Ling.
Thank you. So the first question is whether the Vietnamese entrepreneurs has a global mindset in the beginning, and for me, it depends on the situation of the entrepreneurs. Really, since I run VSV and we mostly invest in very early stage startup, not only very early stage startup, but also very young entrepreneurs. Many of them are first-time entrepreneurs. And for most of them, a lot of bright entrepreneurs in Vietnam, they don't even study overseas. They just working for IT companies in Vietnam and work up to maybe manager or director levels. And they go out and start their own companies. And for a lot of these entrepreneurs, I don't think they will have a global mindset in the beginning, because they can see that there's still so many opportunities in Vietnam. Because if they just look around what they do, they see that there's a lot of needs or a lot of technology that other countries take for granted that Vietnam doesn't have those services yet. So they would focus on serving the local market first, and that's also the market that they understand. And I also meet some entrepreneurs that came back from overseas, and they start company in Vietnam. And the good thing about them is that because they also familiar with the Western cultures. Usually, when they design a solution, they will think about whether or not this is applicable, not only just in Vietnam but also globally as well. So I see both cases depends on where the entrepreneurs is coming from. But right now, for most young entrepreneurs, I say for Vietnamese entrepreneurs, they will look into the local market first, most often. And I think the second question is about what the government can do to help entrepreneurs more, right? I think in terms of the government, because I started my investment career before I started investing in startup, I was consulting to the Ministry of Science and Technologies on building the startup ecosystem, and then we opened VSV as a private venture capital to invest for startup. And over the years, what I see is even though the government has done a lot of great things in removing barriers for venture capitals and startup to operate in Vietnam, but I think the most troublesome things is still that the uncertainty in terms of getting certain license or getting the permission to do business here in Vietnam. A lot of the time, people might talk about like how long it can take to get a license, but I don't think that is too much of a problem. Yes, in Vietnam, there's some license that can take a very long time to get, but as long as people know that if they just do a certain things and meet certain requirements, they will get the license, then people can plan around it. But what I find quite hard to do in Vietnam is like planning for the right things, and then it doesn't happen, and then you have to wait a couple more months because it's very uncertain whether or not one particular people in the person that get the application in the government, whether or not she or he think that that application is correct or not. So I think for the government, those are the first barrier that the government should focus on. Yeah, and I forgot the third question. Can you remind me what the third question again?
I think the third question is coming to talking about like how any specific initiative or government intervention can do in order to encourage more overseas funding coming to Vietnam, and then so that those overseas VC can also support startup in Vietnam to venture globally, regionally. Yep.
I think one of the most important thing that the government can do, I think they already doing that. The government already doing this or looking like researching on how to do this already, but they certainly can do it faster, which is be more welcoming for international capital to come into Vietnam and making investment. I think to get a license to invest into Vietnam is still it's still quite hard. That's why a lot of Vietnamese startup, they eventually have to open their holding companies in Singapore because everything is much clearer. It's faster for the investor to make investment. And for me, from the investors' side, I would say if the government just be more open for the international capital to come in, it's actually for me it's quite low risk because the capital is coming in to invest for Vietnamese companies to serving Vietnamese people. So those would be should be the top priority for the government to look at.
Thank you, Linh. So we can hear from you that like we can see a lot of startup in Vietnam at the moment is like they try to get a foothold in Vietnam first so that they can successfully secure the Vietnamese market before they can think to expand globally. And also like we talk about the challenge, the barriers in order to some of the challenge for the startup about administration, registration, etc. And also like to allow funding to come to startup in Vietnam still a challenge. So that's the reason why we see the role of local VC like VSV Capital or Do Venture to play a role in supporting, like coordinating the flow of investment and then work together with global VC to support startup in Vietnam. And then next, I think last but not least, let's hear from Vincent. So we love to hear more about your story together. We understand that you are one of the incubators of Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. So how has been your growth journey with Hong Kong Science and Technology Park? And also, you have been venturing into Vietnam. What is your experience? What are the biggest differences between the business in Vietnam and Hong Kong and or in overall Southeast Asia? And any advice that you have for Vietnamese startup looking to expand to GBA? Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you very much for the question. I think I will address the first one first, which is about the support by the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, because we joined them as a portfolio company back, I think, a year or two ago. So there are actually various supports that the HKSTP provide to us, very comprehensive support. For example, domain experts. Because the Science and Technology Park actually connect us with a pool of domain experts, including legal advisor, financial management, or even business management experts. So these experts actually help us a lot when we grow the company, especially when we start to expand to overseas market. Secondly, there are quite a lot of corporate training and workshops that the Science and Technology Park actually provide to us. In various management training for the team and myself, the founders, equipping us with the skill set that we need, for example, in marketing, in branding, in fundraising, or even in sales management, and many others. So as a startup, when we train up our team, these kind of training and workshop will be very valuable for us to find our feet, especially when we build a team. The third one is about the business matching. I think when a startup, especially at this growth stage, it is very important to be connected to potential clients or partners. So HKSTP actually very strong in this business network in both the public and the private sector. And with their understanding of our offerings, very often we got connected with corporates or potential clients in Hong Kong and in overseas as well. Also about the VC and the PE network, HKSTP, they have a very strong connection with VC and PE. And it's very important to get this connection, especially when we do our first and second round of fundraising, which happened in around last year. We have a PA fundraising closed at around $10 million US. And last but not least, right, in addition to all the supports that I mentioned earlier, the Science Park also offered to us very good opportunity to have a capital investment in SEED in our company. Via is an investment arm, the HKSTP Venture Fund. So I guess that is a very solid support to show that the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park is very confident in our business model and also the growth prospect. The second questions that I would like to address is in the path when we expand our startup from Hong Kong to the other Southeast Asia, especially in Vietnam. I think we actually started in 2017 in Hong Kong, and then we actually tapped in the Vietnam market back in earlier, late last year or earlier this year. Very interestingly, at that time, we were during the COVID situation where we, as the founder, we cannot travel there. So maybe some of the Vietnam team is actually joining this webinar online, and we haven't actually meet each other face to face. I'm looking forward to meeting them in person. Well, back to the question. Well, the difference between Hong Kong and Vietnam, of course, as a startup founded in Hong Kong, even at the very beginning, we do not look at the market only in Hong Kong because we only have the population of around 7 million. So we easily perceived we reach the ceiling very soon. So at the very beginning, when we craft our business model, we have to think outside Hong Kong. So Southeast Asia is a fast-growing region and a large room for imagination for the business partner and also for investors. And Vietnam, in particular, is a country with a very, very young population, very high mobile penetration rate, fast-growing GDP. So all these are very, very attractive to startup and also VC. So therefore, even now, right, some markets like Vietnam and also Thailand are the key focus of us, and we, very happy to have a strong team there. And especially for the business of Seek, where we do quick commerce delivery, right? We are talking about a 30 minutes ultra fast delivery. And when we compare ourselves Hong Kong versus the other Southeast Asia market, there are a difference that I observed, which is the maturity of the various categories that can be applicable in the quick commerce area. For example, like Hong Kong or Singapore, in the metropolitans where people are more focused on the F&B. So at the F&B sector, in the usage of quick commerce delivery and solutions is growing very, very fast. Versus, for example, in Thailand, grocery is very common. In Vietnam, we see a lot of fast food client, farm to table marketplace like meat, vegetable. So, very, very innovative city that we see. And we do see that in terms of the usage scenario of the system and the delivery solution of Seek, we do see a very, very large potential to expand vertical and horizontally. Also, of course, the profile is different, right? In terms of the culture and in terms of the government policy, right? So a big suggestion from my perspective when startups go from Vietnam to Hong Kong and GBA, that we need to take care of the culture. Here, culture, I'm talking about referring to the business culture of client partners, the purchasing behavior of customer, and also in the case, for example, we are running a logistic company, we're providing last mile delivery service. We also deal with a lot of courier delivery partner. So the working habit of this delivery partner are actually very, very important cultural area that we have to focus. Another suggestion for startups that have interest in moving to Hong Kong and Greater Bay Area is the government policy, right? Because we have to understand the policy for foreign company when we start business in Hong Kong and in China. For example, the labor law, the tax policy, and many others. Because if we underestimate this impact of this policy or government rules, then we will find us bearing a lot of unexpected costs, right? For legal or even for lawsuit, right? So I guess government policy is a second important thing that I think for startups in Vietnam that have interest in starting business in Hong Kong and China. Last suggestion, I think many startups find themselves quite difficult, especially when they get connected with conglomerates, large brand, large companies. So a big suggestion is that when you, for the founder of Vietnamese startup, when you have a chance to start Hong Kong business, do go to some of the startups there as well, because startups understand the challenges that you have, and we understand each other more in depth. So when you start to explore opportunity for collaboration with other companies in Hong Kong and in China, I think it's talking to a startup is a good channel, because you understand the path they have been through, and they very often will be very open-minded to talk to you, to try something new, being innovative. So you will find them very helpful and very, very resourceful. Right, thank you. Thank you very much, and this is the sharing I would like to have.
I think hopefully any startup that they are thinking from Vietnam, they're thinking about going into Hong Kong, they can go and look for Zix, because you're already in Vietnam, so probably then you can exchange what are the insights and then support each other in both markets. And I think we are running out of time, and then now we just have time for one last question from anyone here at the center to here today, or we also have a few questions online, so that I can read out the questions if we don't. Anyone have any questions? All right, so I think now we have time for one question. So I just picked one question online that we can see that just now earlier, Mr. Peter Mark, you share about the very competitive landscape in Hong Kong and in GBA area. So I would like to, there's a question about, in order to successfully enter Hong Kong, do you have any suggestions on business model for Vietnam startup, like setting up JV or participating in incubation acceleration program from Hong Kong? Please, Mr. Mok.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think this question I will answer in two flow. This part is the easiest part. Okay, it only take you, if you buy a share of company, it only take you 1 hour, right? Probably around 10 to 15,000 Hong Kong dollars full stop, and then you become a shareholders of a limited company in Hong Kong. So that part will be very easy. You don't need to set up any joint venture with any local partners. So I mean, there's a free flow of capital, anything, information, etc. This will be the easy part. But in terms of going into the market, especially for large corporates that you've mentioned, I think there are two sides. Okay, for the public side, okay, government, public organization, I would suggest our startups from Vietnam to visit one of the government department called EMSD, Electrical and Mechanical Services Department, who is the actually engineers for all the government departments and public bodies. So they have a portal called Inno Portal. So where all the government technology, procurement, or pain points are there, and you can just throw in your ideas as just brand new technology or solution there. So you don't need to have 10 years track record in your hometown, whatever. So in terms of public sector. And also in terms of private sector, do join our partnership program. In Science Park, we have around 200 corporate partners covering 8 different industries, including industries like banking, financial services and insurance, travel and hospitality, healthcare, education, logistics and manufacturing, real estate and construction, as well as retail, etc. So I mean, join the Science Park program. You don't even need to be in Hong Kong. Just join our partnership program, and then you can access to all these different sources. And if you join Hong Kong, open a company here, welcome you to come to Science Park to join our various incubation acceleration programs. So the early stage program would be called ideation program. So you can join us with just a business idea. You don't need to even register a company. And then we have full-blown incubation program, 3 years or 4 years, 3 years for general deep technology, 4 years for life science biotech companies. For the 3-year program, we're able to provide on a total of around slightly less than 2 million Hong Kong dollars. And for a biotech 4-year program, we can subsidize you up to 4 to 6 million Hong Kong dollars, depends on which type of biotech companies you are. And then we also have an acceleration program called Leading Enterprises Acceleration Programs. These is a very it's a flagship program for scale up globally. So I think these few programs could help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. I think it should be the end for the session today. Thank you so much for your time. And then hopefully after this session, we have our startup from Vietnam can also have a lot of insight about how they can, when the right time for them to expand overseas, then can consider Hong Kong GBA as one of the potential area for their business. And we also hope that we can see the flow, not only from one side, but also the two sides of the two locate like two directions between Vietnam and Hong Kong or the Greater Bay Area. Thank you so much to our panelists today. And I would like to hand over to our MC of the event. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, and thank you so much, Mr. Duc, for hosting an excellent discussion. And many thanks to Peter, Tony, Teddy, Vincent, and Lynn for sharing a lot of valuable insights with us. Well, Now, we will move on to the reserved virtual section for selected startup to talk directly to Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. The session will be hosted by Ms. Victoria Chung, Manager of Partnerships of Hong Kong Science and Technology
Recording
Park,
stopped.
and Mr. Leo Luck from Hong Kong Science and Technology Park Ventures. For the partners who want to join the section as observers, please send your request in the chat box so our team can send you into the virtual breakout room. For selected startups and the partners interested in the section, we're participating on offline here. Please follow my colleague, Ms. Lang, on the right-hand side to a private meeting room to join this section. And that also concludes our event today. Thank you for your time. Goodbye and see you at our next event. Thank you so much for being here today.